Hello everybody, I hope you are all doing well. In this video series, we're going to go over the process of making a manual so that somebody, a stranger, say, could take your project pieces and construct your chair or your lamp. And we're going to go through this process in Rhino. So let's dive right in. And we're going to open up Rhino and there we go. And the first thing is I'm working right now in this space, and you can see I've got all of these images, all these layers open, so I can see almost everything. Now that's important because when I'm working in my layouts, which is where we're going to construct these manuals, um, we're going to change specifically what we're looking at in each layout in each detail. So why don't we just take a look at what I mean by that. So if I go into my title page here, I've already got a layout and I'm looking at this front page. What we see is we've got this page that's 8.5 by 11, and then this inner box, which is a detail view. If I double click on this, I can then work in this detail view. And if I change the render settings for it, I can change it back to wireframe, and that's more familiar with what our space looks like. Oh, I don't know why it's not. Oh, I know why. This detail view is locked right now. If I type in detail in the command line and select unlock, I can look at all of the different I can manipulate the view just like I would a normal perspective view. Now over in my side here, I see that there are multiple layers and some of them are turned off. And this is a new tab where it's detail on. Now what I can do is I can come up to this view icon and I can say view model layers or view detail layers. And if I wanted to, I can turn all the layers on that I have in my workspace. So if I go back to my workspace, I can see I only have these few layers that are actually visible. And if I go back to my title page, I can see that those are the only ones that I can turn on or off. Some I can't show, and that's because that's based off of what is in my workspace. So that's something to remember, is that your workspace is always going to be sort of the master source for information that is going to go into your layout. I'm just going to go ahead and change this back to pen. And I'm just going to go through a process of how I would make this specific title page. So what I can do is I can come up to New Layout, and I'll select New Layout. And it's going to say, what do you want your name to be? We'll just say title page example. We'll make it our standard page size, portrait's fine. And we'll hit OK, that all looks great. And this is going to come up. Now, it's already going to come with a detail view. I'm just going to delete that and show you how I can add a detail view. Before I do that, I want to emphasize that some grid snap can be really useful here. And I'm also going to type in grid because I want to look at my snap spacing. You can see here that right now for this layout, the grid snap spacing is 1. I'm going to change that to 0.5. And that's so when I can add a detail, I can snap it to somewhere that's relatively close or away from the edge of the paper so that we have a little bit of a margin. And I'm going to keep that nice and consistent. Just so we're not going over the edge, so we make sure everything is going to be printed properly. I'm going to turn my grid snap off. And now I can see I've got a whole lot of information in here. And to edit the detail view, I'm just going to double click on it. And right now I'm working in the top view. And I'm going to change that by clicking on this down arrow over here, and I can set view and I can go to perspective view. That way I can just get a better idea of what I want because that's what I'm looking for. And I can immediately come over here and I can just start hiding some of these layers. And nope, I wanted that layer, so that's great. And what I can do is I'll go back and I'll change that to pen view because all I want is really those exterior lines in the specific view I'm looking at. So once I've got this oriented, you know what, maybe I'll switch it around. Once I've got it oriented to where I would like it, what I can do is I can type in detail again, and then I can select lock in the command line. That way I can't move it around if I try to pan or zoom. Oh, look at that. I am only going to pan and zoom in the layout. What I can do next before my battery dies is I can add some text, and anything I add outside the detail is going to be in this layout. It's not going to be in our workspace or our master work area. So I can just select layout, or I can select text. I've got my Bauhaus 93. It's going to say instruction manual. And I'm going to scale that down to be, roughly half an inch. It's probably good for bolder text. Oop. And you can see I'm actually still working in this detail view. I didn't double click outside of it. So I can hit enter again to reinitiate the text command, hit enter, and then I can place the text wherever I want. Now, if I want to get really precise, I can get a bounding box around this text, and then I can move this from my midpoint to snap to the midpoint of the detail box, and there we go. Everything's nice and lined up. And so that's exactly what we're looking for, and that's kind of a really good basic introduction into layouts and adding details and what information can we start to separate in our detail views. So in the next video, we'll talk about how we can bring in multiple detail views and hide multiple things in there. So I hope this helped, and I will see you in the next video.